We've been working on it for a fair amount of time. So I'll go, let's see, reasonably expeditiously through the features in the release, and then there's usually a ton of questions about various things. So I'll try and leave as much time as possible for questions at the end of it. All right, highlights in release 5.2. First of all, probably the most prominent from the partner point of view is a new portal user interface. So we have added a completely different look and feel with a whole bunch of different widgets and capabilities plus information and all that kind of stuff to the new portal. The old portal is still there, and in fact, that is the default view, but you can switch over to the new portal and see the new look. We're adding a completely new captive portal capability, adding role-based portal access, so we can divide up responsibilities depending upon what people need to see, all part of improving security and so on. We had the ZTNA introduction in 5.1, and in this case, what we're doing now is tighter integration of the ZTNA stuff into the portal. And then a bunch of different disparate features, monthly reports, integrating support for Eero access points, and a lot of different minor features. As I said, the most prominent change from 5.1 to 5.2 is a new portal UI. So I guess you could call it a modern look and feel. We're keeping the same simple workflow as in the previous version of the portal, but giving it far better look and feel. So things like dark mode versus light mode. I mean, a lot of our engineers seem to prefer dark mode quite a bit. A lot of things to improve readability, and adding things like charts and tables that people ask for a lot. Adding CSV upload and download from different views, so you no longer just have to look at your list of, say, VPN users. You can actually download them to a CSV file, or if you've got a list that you want to pre-populate, you can upload them from a CSV file. Same thing for things like Active Directory and so on. And then a bunch of things about different devices or device views and other information that you can pull out of the portal. The old portal is still there. And so it's, as I mentioned, you log in as a default view, but if you go into settings, you say, I want the new look and feel, you'll get the new look and feel, it'll stick. And so that should hopefully ease the transition for people who are used to seeing the old view. All right, some highlights of the what's in the new portal. Then I'll jump into the other features. So real-time graphs, that's something people asked for a long time, and that's there now. So you can see charts of bandwidth and storage used and all kinds of stuff. We keep expanding this as time goes on. Certainly a better devices view that is easier to manage, particularly if you got 100 or 200 devices, then the old portal views started looking pretty unmanageable. It kept scrolling. So now we have filtering and pagination and all that kind of stuff. And map views, so being able to present like firewall, threats, attacks, country blocking, all that kind of stuff on a map seem to make it simpler. We also have added network topology view, which people, always wanted to know, well, what switch is connected to which and where is this AP connected to, all that kind of stuff. So it's so much easier to display it as a two-dimensional view of here's the network layout. And it's clickable. So if you double click on a switch, you'll dive into that particular switch. If you double click on an AP, you'll be taken to the AP configuration page and all kinds of stuff like that. We plan to extend this to all kinds of other parts of the portal. So the goal is that everything is clickable and everything makes sense in terms of where it leads you to when you click on it. And of course, there's stuff like device information here, there, and everywhere. So there's buttons that you click on, and up pops some information about the device that wasn't there before. All right. Let's see. That would be the new portal view. And then the next feature in the build or the release is a completely new captive portal facility. In 5.1, we had a sort of primitive captive portal facility, and I don't think anyone ever liked that. In 5.2, we're introducing something that is truly usable, which is you can build, for example, a captive portal splash page interactively without any HTML coding. You get, things like page previews.
So
You can
I messed
drop
up.
in.
Got to include the optional cost. So this is the optional cost check.
Oh,
Uh,
you have already done one?
Annual
uh, so let's see. Was there a question? I don't think so. Yes, so the captive portal facility has you can build splash pages. You can put in things like banner images, and if your customer has a some sort of sale going on or coupon or something, drop that in as an image. You can also customize things like the information that they or the login credentials they need to enter, the information that they are required to provide before they're allowed access, and so on and so forth. So this is far more of what you would expect a hospitality captive portal page to look like. And you can build all that on our portal without any HTML coding and so on. Just upload images, put in text, and pick your colors, and off you go. So the captive portal can be assigned to any SSID, not just the guest. Normally, people would just assign to the guest SSID because that's a logical place. But if, for example, you have a corporate environment which doesn't need any hospitality captive portal, but they want a captive portal for their staff to use their personal devices on, then you can set it up. So right now it's limited to a single SSID having captive portal, but we plan to extend this to different portals for different SSIDs. In terms of managing the captive portal, we expect that you wouldn't be involved with your customers adding users, removing users, and setting credentials and all that kind of stuff. That would probably be up to the receptionist or whoever is, I mean, the coffee shop baristas or whoever else is supposed to be in charge of all that. So there's a separate dashboard that we refer to as the quote unquote receptionist dashboard, which allows the receptionist to just view the users and the accounts of the captive portal. And if the users are required to enter information, then they can enter that information and dump that to a CSV file, for example, so they can go uh, process whoever it is that needs to have a coupon pushed to them, or grab information and send them promos, all that kind of stuff. However, this is definitely a far cry from the captive portal in 5.1. All right. Another often requested feature was the ability to have role-based access control. So right in the 5.1 release, there was really just one kind of access. You are either an admin or tech, but really there was not much difference between the admin or the tech, except that the admin could create more accounts and the technicians couldn't. We have extended this to true role-based access control, so you can we have four levels of roles. So the administrator has full privileges. A technician is then assigned customers by admins. There's even a read-only view because we found that there were several cases when partners wanted their end customers to be able to see what was going on in the dashboard, status and stuff. Maybe they had an internal person who wanted to keep track of things, but they didn't want anything being touched. So there's a read-only view. And finally, there's a receptionist view for captive portals. So you can assign subsets of customers, subsets of access rights, and so on. So this gets away from the need for us, for example, to stand up different portals for different subsets of customers. All right. In 5.1, we introduced zero trust networking, and that seems to be quite popular. What we are doing now in 5.2 and then continuing to do in the next release and so on is a tighter integration between the zero trust cloud services and the portal itself. So in 5.1, the zero trust agents and so on were managed from the portal, but when you wanted to add users, you had to click on a separate view that took you to the IDP, and then you could add accounts and so on into the IDP, which was a bit of an overhead. So what we have done in 5.2 is to bring all that into the portal. So you actually do all the account management for user accounts and passwords and MFA and all that kind of stuff inside the portal itself. There's no need to be going to a different IDP view to be able to do that. That makes stuff quite a bit simpler because you can then do all of your day-to-day account management inside the portal itself without having a separate view. We are extending this, so in the next release, we'll also fold in the actual ZTNA network view. So the network view today does take you to a separate view, but I mean screen. But in the next release, we'll actually fold that in as well. So 90% of all the IDP tasks the ZTNA tasks will be just done simply from one view. So that, but we continue to roll out ZTNA setups to multiple customers, and this just makes it easier to manage. A much requested feature has been that we should send monthly reports directly to end customers rather than sending them all to the partner and having the partner send them to the end customers. So, as you know, we generate, we have an automated monthly report generator that will generate reports of things like firewall activity, storage usage, bandwidth usage, number of attacks that were thwarted, and all that stuff, backups made, everything. So it's a human readable report, I guess, that would be consumable by the customer to demonstrate that you're doing stuff for them. Formerly, we used to send all these reports to the partner, and that started getting a little onerous when you had 30 or 40 customers, because then you had to send them on to the customers. So what we added in 5.2 is the ability for the partner to just say, well, send the reports not just to me, but also to customers, for selected customers that expect to receive the reports directly. So we will, of course, send them to the partner, but we'll also send them straight to one or more emails for the customer. So that makes the first of the month handling monthly reports quite a bit easier. All right, adding Eero AP management. So we've been setting up a partnership with Eero. You probably all heard about Eero. You see them on Amazon. They sell access points mostly into residential as well as ISP markets, but they have now just started out on what they call their enterprise market, where they sell to small businesses. And so they saw what we were doing and were interested. So we set up a partnership, and the intent is that when you plug in an Eero device, you will be able to manage it from the Uplevel portal. So the way we structured it is to basically set it up and manage it just like you would manage an Uplevel access point. So you plug in an Eero device, we recognize it, we set it up, we add the necessary VLAN, start broadcasting SSIDs, and then it becomes more or less plug and play. So this is still a work in progress because Eero seems to move somewhat slower than we do. So we are completing things like the business agreement and handling things like they have a different way of handling assigning APs to partners. So we are encompassing that. But as you can see, we have all the basic nuts and bolts in place. And later on this year, we should be starting to offer Eero APs side by side with ours. In addition to all these, there's a bunch of minor features that got put into the release. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that went in under the hood, but these are what I'm focusing on are the things that are immediately visible and I mean, the stuff that you'd see pretty obviously. So we've added the, excuse me, the capability to schedule SSIDs. We did get a fair number of partners complaining that people were, for example, misusing the guest SSID at their customer sites on off hours and weekends. The neighbors would sometimes get a hold of the password and log in. So this gives the partner a way to just shut off the SSID outside of working hours, not just for the guest, but even for the corporate SSIDs if you wanted. It's certainly an improvement on security if you can shut off the parking lot drive-by Wi-Fi attacks. Something that's always been requested is rebooting switches from the portal. Now we have that integrated. And in the next release after this, actually, we'll have scheduled reboots. So you can say, well, rebooted all these devices on Saturday night at 2 a.m. And we'll reboot all the devices on Saturday night at 2 a.m. unattended. So AD audit logs were something that we paid a good bit of attention to improving. So before, the audit log capacity was pretty low, and also being able to parse through a million log entries was pretty onerous. We added a bunch of things to add filters and pagination, download stuff to CSV files, all that kind of stuff to just make it much, much easier to parse through, say, 100,000 entries of people accessing files on the shares and so on. There's a vast number of other improvements and fixes that we added to this to 5.2 over 5.1. I mean, there's, as I mentioned, stuff that has to do with client devices. We added some diagnostics for looking at connections through the firewall, so you can track who's talking to what. There's things like better subnet management, so that if you have a set of 4 sites with 6 subnets each, then it doesn't become this 24 subnet unmanageable mess. And of course, CSV downloads and uploads for many different pages to simplify the task of setting up a lot of clients or a lot of computers and so on. Did some firmware updates for the 4x4 AP and a bunch of bug fixes to things like Active Directory and the UI display of switches and clients and everything. Tons and tons of little features here and there. All right, so that is what we are rolling out in 5.2, and now a teaser of what we expect to roll out in 5.3, which is something, basically this is all the stuff we're working on actively right now. So in 5.3, we are looking at identity federation. So when you log in to ZTNA, or even actually into our Active Directory domain controller, you should be able to federate with things like Entra ID and Google Workspace. And so that way you will get single sign-on into things like N365 and so on and so forth. As one thing that was requested was zero trust access to up-level resources, like, for example, the shares on the gateway. So it would be very useful if a customer were to be able to log into ZTNA, use the IDP to verify identity and do all the posture checks and all that. And then once they passed all that, be able to get access into all the encrypted shares sitting on the gateway. And so that's another thing that we actually did that as a support special. Now we're rolling that into or working on that as an engineering feature. Something that has been a work item now for probably a good 6 months is to integrate a SIM and XDR into the system. So effectively be able to take all the logs that we generate. We generate masses of logs out of all the different devices, but right now, really, there's not a whole lot that can be done with it. What we are doing is feeding all that up into a SIM and running rules in them for various things, not just event triggering, but also things like compliance. Having a SIM on hand makes things like CMMC compliance far easier. And then a bunch of little things here and there that are often requested. Things like, getting the devices display much faster and more accurate. Things like LAN devices, LAN clients, better diagnostics, and a lot of little things that we worked on for different partners at different times in the past few months. And of course, there's new hardware that we work on always. Things like point-to-point APs that have got higher power, so you can cover 1,500 feet or something with a single AP link, etc. Okay, so that's a teaser of what's coming up or what we're working on, really. This is the release plan. So as always, we do phased releases and we try to make sure that we never create an issue because we've sent a firmware release out. So we stage our releases on a schedule. I think all of you are familiar with this from the previous 5.1 release cycle. It's a phased release. It's staged out on a schedule so that it becomes not this giant fudge. We notify all of you and coordinate with you so we make sure we don't ever bring down a customer when nobody expects it. And for sure, we always work with you to make sure that you can reschedule it to when there's a more convenient time for your customer. We do upgrades. We've done upgrades, for example. There are some customers that can only be upgraded on Tuesday at 2 a.m. Well, we upgrade them on Tuesday at 2 a.m. And of course, we handle all the upgrades, and then we make sure that everything comes back online and all is well. So I can truthfully say that in the last probably 6 to 8 years of upgrading, I don't think we've ever islanded any customer. But we expect that all this whole process staged out will complete before the end of August. So before the end of August, all of you should have 5.2 running on your systems and be able to enable the new portal and go through all of this stuff. All right, I think that brings us to the bottom of the half hour. I like to keep things short and sweet. So now I guess we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, certainly. So if you do have questions, put them in the chat. And as I'm pulling the chat box up, just a reminder, I send out 2 emails generally for your updates. I send one out typically 2 weeks before and then a reminder. So if you have any questions or if that time doesn't work for you, please just reach out and we'll find a better time, to get your systems updated. Looks like a number of partners are saying that they're trying to access the portal to look at the new portal. And I did reply that you'll see the new portal be available after your systems are updated.
Right. Yeah, it's not rolled out yet. This is sort of fair warning. This is what's coming, and here's the rollout schedule. So at the point when you get you have been upgraded notice, then that's when the new portal becomes live. We do need to upgrade all the software underneath it to support all the new portal features. So we'll have a very strange experience if we try to use the new portal to look at all the old stuff.
Dave, I'm not sure if there was a question there. You had mentioned a feature you're not using, so let me know if there's a question I'm missing. Any more integration or enhancements to AD working with on-premises Entra ID Azure?
Yes. That, in fact, is our whole push for the integrating the IDP and having single sign-on into Entra AD or Entra AD, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So the idea there is that if you log in on the on-premises Active Directory on the firewall, then you will automatically have SSO into Entra ID, which is basically M365, and so and vice versa. So that, I mean, as you can imagine, that is a large job, but using an IDP in the middle turned out to be rather significant.
Okay. Okay, in regard to the Eero devices, Dave is asking if we're going to be selling them or if the partners can bring their own, and is there going to be a charge to add them to the portal for management?
All very good question. Working all that stuff out with Eero, we have made it clear to Eero that partners would expect to be able to bring their own and add it to the system, and so they are figuring out how to make the whole enterprise deployment work. They've so far been in residential, as you can tell. It's so they are. Uh, to be perfectly honest, they're sort of leaning on us to help them understand how this whole MSP market works in some ways. Obviously, we're not that important, but they are certainly picking our brains as to what it is that our partners would want to see. And so we're working all that stuff out in the process. I mean, it's interesting that the underlying technical integration got way ahead of the business integration, so to speak. But yes, the intent is that you should be able to get Eero devices, which are enterprise devices, and then be able to join them up and we manage them.
And I don't know that there's going to be a charge, or is there going to be a charge for managing those through the portal, or have we figured that part out yet?
We haven't figured that part out yet because Eero hasn't figured that part out yet either.
Okay. If that doesn't answer the question, Dave, please let me know.
No, well, unfortunately, the answer to that is it's still up in the air. So
live demo. I assume, Dave, you're just getting at, are we going to be able to um, demonstrate that feature when it's live? And yeah, I would assume we'd be able to do that
yes,
once we get a little closer to launching that.
oh yes,
Self-clearing, acknowledging alerts so that my portal isn't yellow or red all the
ah,
time. For
yes.
reasons that are several days old. And that one seems to have some other people that are plotting that question. So
Yep. That's honestly, I applaud that question too. So we were trying to get that into 5.2, but it came up just too too far into the development cycle to try and do a reliable job of that. Because what we don't want to do is to clear an alert when it's not supposed to be cleared. And the last thing we want to have is somebody calling up going, "Hey, my customer's down and you didn't tell me about it." So yes, but we have seen that we hear that loud and clear, and you'll probably get it before the 5.3 release because with this new user interface, we can actually do some incremental updates, but it's not in the 5.2, but it will be there soon. We get that.
okay. Okay, yeah. So Dave was asking about the performance, any performance improvements of the new UI, not just, the new look and feel.
Right. We did some, but not actually. The new UI forced us to go back in and take care of a lot of what they call technical debt, which is all the different bits and pieces that are created over time and just was correct. And so we have cleaned up a good bit of that. Some of the stuff sped up a fair bit, like the Active Directory stuff, for example. We found out or cleared out a bunch of crud, and the AD things go much faster now. But the in terms of the devices and the switch ports and stuff, updating that is like what we're working on right now. So you should expect to see that showing up in the next few months, but it's not there in 5.2. We were laying pipe to let us do that. So that pipe is laid.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I will certainly add you, Ryan. Looks like there's another message here. Any other questions or anything else? I apologize if I scanned over it. Chat box is a little small. Is there any other questions or anything that anybody has that we can answer at this time? Any integration with Autotask PSA to automate ticket creation of tickets? Sorry.
That is an interesting question. No, not in 5.2, but if you have a specific integration, I mean, we'd be happy to discuss it. So far, we have been focusing on email integration just because everyone seems to have a different ticketing platform. But I suppose what we should do is to take a poll and figure out which ticketing platform is the most popular and start down the Pareto chart of figuring out which one to do an API integration. We've considered that for many years, but the issue is that there are just so many that it's beyond our capability to try and integrate with all of them. But yes, that's a good question. It's not in 5.2, but it could be and maybe should be a roadmap item.
Okay, now Gary's got a question somewhat unrelated to the update, but are we anticipating any equipment price increases based on the volatility of memory pricing, things of that nature?
I definitely don't think so.
A definite maybe. How's that?
Well, unless somebody jacks up the prices of memory much further, I don't. We've been trying to eat all those costs ourselves.
Definitely, maybe.
But who knows what the heck's going to happen? I mean, if they quadruple memory prices on us, yeah, there's no way we can eat all that. But so far, we've been, bobbing about with our heads above the water. We don't want to go back in and have you guys have uncomfortable questions with your customers about why are we changing this price? That's always nasty.
And if there is anything like that, it certainly won't be a surprise. We'll
No,
make it known well in advance.
absolutely not. I mean, I do confess that all of our prices have gone up, but well, okay, we've just been biting the bullet on that one.
Blake is asking if the dashboard runs on Proxmox VE.
No, the dashboard actually runs on a dedicated AWS VM that we start from bare metal and then build up. Because basically we want to make sure that every package we put on that is secured.
All right. And Ryan, I apologize if we answered or asked this question already, but integration with Autotask PSA to automate the creation of tickets.
Right. Yeah, I did talk about that. That is something that has come up and probably should be a work item, but what is holding us back was just the fact that there's so many PSAs and so many ticketing systems. Talking to every single API was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this?
It looks like a few of the partners have also chimed in with their workarounds for that. Are you unable to show a live demo environment at this time?
Oh, we can most certainly show a live demo. We just weren't planning on booking up the webinar with it. But yes, we actually use it in demos to new partners all the time, or have been doing that for some months now. It may
Everybody,
be easier to have a live demo on a one-on-one basis or, few as opposed to booking up the webinar with it.
all right. I will get that set up for you, Dave.
That'll be cool.
All right. Okay. Any other questions at this time? Going once. Any other thoughts or anything we might be forgetting, Tom, before we let everybody go to their afternoon?
I thought there were a couple of things that came up on the chat just now.
I think people are just signing off.
Oh, okay.
All right. Oh, nope. Rick had a
Rick does it.
question. Sorry. Go ahead, Rick. Yes. So we will be, this is being recorded, and once it's wrapped up, we'll be posting it, and then I'll send the link out to everybody. Oh, record the one-on-one demo. Yeah, we can probably do that as well, certainly.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Yes.
In fact, actually, given that this UI is sort of a drastic change, not in workflow, but in just look and feel, it might be worthwhile for us to record this is how a typical workflow goes in the new UI and, uh, post that.
Okay, perfect. All right. Any other questions from anybody?
Right, a training video, as Rick said. Ryan said, sorry.
Perfect. It's a great idea. Along those lines, if anybody does have any thoughts or, ideas on how we can better serve you, if there's, videos that you'd like to see or additional webinars, any content that we can do a better job of getting to you, please feel free to reach out to me, send me an email, give me a call, and we'll see what we can do to put that together. Same thing as far as content is concerned for our next, our roadmap, if you will. If there's features that you're lacking or just anything you think would be a great idea for us to visit, again, let us know. That's how we tend to, build out our roadmap and determine where we go next. So please feel free to give us a call, send me an email, and let me know. Let's see. Yes, Dave, I do think in my opinion, it is going to be much easier for you to navigate and find information that you're looking for. Specifically, I think which of your customers has which equipment, that sort of thing. But we'll definitely go through that in the live demo, and we can do a recording and share that, post that as well.
And actually, to Dave's point, now that we have all that pipe laid and a new framework underneath it, I think it'll be a lot easier to put in stuff that would make it, I mean, the navigation stuff. So, for example, that Dave has asked in the past for you click on anything and should take you to the right place. That actually what drove all those clickable things here and there. And so we put in the framework for being able to do that. Now that we have the framework, just adding clickable elements to just about everywhere is a whole lot easier. Same thing with charts, same thing with making things faster. We have a cleaner framework. We can now look at what's slow and make it faster.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or anything we can answer for you? Awesome. Okay. Well,
Thank you all.
thank you all again for your time. We appreciate your business and appreciate you taking time to sit through this with us. As I mentioned before, we'll be sending notices out and giving you a 2-week head start, or heads up, I should say, in terms of when we're going to be doing your updates. If you have any questions or if that time doesn't work, just let me know. But we'll be talking to everybody very soon. So have a great afternoon, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you,
Have a good
Corey,
afternoon.
and thank you, Tom.
Thanks, guys. You have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye all.
All right, bye-bye.